So I have been very socially and entrepreneurial from a young age. So when I was in India, from the age of 10, I started noticing a lot of poverty around me, and that made me very uncomfortable. I started questioning my privileges because I saw people of my age, like kids of my age, being on the streets, studying there, not having proper clothes, not having a good education. But here I was on the other side, where I had a good school to go to. I had a meal thrice a day. I had amazing parents who gave me everything I wanted. But it always made me question my privileges as to why is it that I get all these things but those people don't, and that made me always want to try and give back to them. And when I was 10 years old, I organized an exhibition with my friends in my local community, and we raised funds to give to the homeless people. When I was 16, one summer my mom said, why don't you just go and learn something new? So I learned how to make perfumes, and then my friends started buying it off me. So with all the profits that I had, I donated toys at a local hospital. And so from that age, like, I've always wanted to do something in education and like empowering other people. So I also used to volunteer at an NGO while I was studying, and I used to teach English to street kids back in India. And we also used to take them to museums and theatre shows so that they at least have an hour of happiness every day just by us meeting with them and teaching them something new, because obviously their school life was very bad. They get beaten up by their teachers. There's 50 students for every one teacher, and they all had like 11 people living on the streets and sharing food from one pot. So obviously it's not very it doesn't have a good effect on a child when they're growing up. And that was something we thought, by running this NGO we could really make a difference to their lives, give them at least some happiness. And then when I moved to the UK, since I started working in tech, there's very few women in this industry. So the first enterprise that I ran was inviting scientists. Most of them happened to be women scientists. I used to invite one scientist each month to talk about their research in free public lectures in London. And they all did different types of research. So there was someone from Yahoo Labs working on like technology research and algorithms and artificial intelligence. Then there was someone who worked who was a biotechnologist. So her main research was on biodegradable packaging. I also invited an astrophysicist who worked with young kids to teach them more about astrophysics, just to give examples. And then while I was doing that, I came across a championship from UN Women, and I applied and I got selected. It's a voluntary role that you do for 4 months, and they selected about 170 people from across the world. So since I was doing my science outreach and I work in tech, I had a mentor, and just before that I had made a documentary. So she said, why don't you make a documentary on women in STEM? So out of that, I also recently made a documentary on women in STEM. So STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering and Math, and I'm screening it next week at IBM. And we've invited, so I interviewed women from the mayor's office, IBM, Facebook, and it was just a hobby project, but it turned into something amazing. I've got speakers from the US Embassy, UN Women, and the mayor's office. And so yeah, that's how it came about, like just recognizing problems around me and recognizing problems that I maybe face or people around me face, and then thinking of solutions to like help tackle that issue. So that was the first organization. Now this year I'm working on something else, which is to help tackle isolation that a lot of people in a city of 11 million people face. And what can you do to like help reduce that isolation and social exclusion and loneliness that a lot of people face? So I'm working on that now.
And